I am Bobby Hinn, and let's queer up politics. Pete Buttigieg Democratic vision include 50-state strategy. A commentary article published by LGBTQ Nation analyzes former Democratic presidential candidate and Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg's advocacy for a comprehensive 50-state national campaign strategy. The opinion piece examines Buttigieg's core arguments that the Democratic Party cannot afford to cede entire regions of the country to political opponents. In his public commentary and political engagements, Buttigieg contends that actively campaigning in traditional conservative strongholds, even where immediate victories are unlikely, is essential for long-term coalition building. He argues for framing core economic and social policies around localized concerns to connect with voters outside standard swing districts. The analysis notes that implementing a true 50-state model requires significant capital and infrastructural reallocation from national party committees away from exclusive battleground focus. While supporters view the commentary as a pragmatic blueprint for expanding the electoral map, political strategies cited in broader debate the resource trade-offs involved in competing everywhere. And I think the strategists are right to a degree. For one thing, we don't have people like Elon Musk or hedge fund managers who can throw millions of dollars in secret black money political action committees where they can run up billboards and advertisement and flood the zone with political attack ads. And I think also...
Why is that, Bobby? Why won't billionaires donate to help the working people of America?
Well, I think you just answered your own question there.
Did I? I would never do
that. Yes, but I think also that while Pete has right sensibility, I guess, for this, its practicality, though, not great. I mean, unless we find ourselves, an Elon Musk-ish
I'm going to push
billionaire sugar daddy.
Howard Dean didn't need a billionaire sugar daddy to do his 50-state strategy back in 2008.
But 2008 is very different than 2026.
Not as much as you'd think on the getting the money to keep a state party. I know a little bit about what you need to have a state party run, and you don't need a ton of money at first. In fact, the Florida Dems, one of their biggest problems when they would get donations is a huge chunk of the money they get for the cycle. It looks like a ton of money. It's like $100 million, something insane like that. But most of it comes like the last 60 days, which is practically useless. Like if they got that at the beginning of the cycle, 2 years before, they could do amazing things, but that's not how it works. So I will say with Pete's strategy, you do need to be doing stuff in all the states. It needs to be done more. We actually do a lot more of it than people realize. Every state has a party. Actually, the Ken Martin, who I'm not a fan of his, but he has been putting a lot of money into the states. I think Pete's just trying to get some attention. Looking at the photos of Pete, though, I'm worried he's looking too old. If he wants to win, he's going to have to get the moisturizer and diet here.
Trim that beard.
If we're going to nominate a white man, it's got to at least be an attractive young white man. Think the ones who won before. Seriously, Kennedy, Bill Clinton, he was black, but Obama, all three of them are most successful presidents as Democrats. We're all attractive young men. And if Pete wants to emulate them, get the moisturizer.
Yeah, well, at least trim down the mustache. He almost looked like a 70s porn star at this point.
I mean, I want to agree. I mean, politically, we are the United States of America, and so if you're ignoring parts of it because you're like, oh, I'm not going to win there are people that live there that don't want to feel marginalized, and so they actually might step up and think that they count. I think secondly, though, and this is the one thing that even coming from a business side of things, not a political side of things, is make the strategy, put your wish list out there, do all of that, and don't use dollar signs as the way you're making your strategy. And I think that's the problem with a lot of these strategies is they go, okay, well, we have X amount of dollars, so this is what we legally, or this is what we can do with it. Instead of going, this is what I want to do, and then find the dollar signs to go in there. Because like you said, you can do a lot with a little. Yeah. You can do a lot with a little.
Well, that's also the matter of, principle sometimes. I think there are some strategists out there, especially on the Democratic side, where they're reluctant to use, for example, dark money because
That
that's
is
what.
absolutely inaccurate. That I am more than happy to explain to you about the tens of millions of dollars that have been in the primaries this cycle on the Democratic side. And I don't just mean like the AIPAC big spending, but there's been all sorts of spending. All the different candidates. Some of the lefty candidates don't like to use dark money, but they've also won when being outspent like 17-1 in the last Senate with Angie Nixon. Like that's a little different. So I wouldn't worry about the sheepishness for dark money. The Democratic Party is way too comfortable with dark money.
Like I said, I don't think it should. Unfortunately, they always say it's about the money, but I think if we really sit down and buckle down and make a strategy and do all of that first, and then go, okay, let's figure out the money part second, you actually might see some stronger traction.
If I can get on my little pedestal one more time.
Sure.
Did you get off?
Yeah, I know, right?
I know.
But seriously, when I was at the Florida dump, speaking of raising money to make this work, you do have to give people a reason to support you. And I guess if you're going to do the 50-state strategy, my biggest concern would be don't try to change for what you think people want. So if you're going to just all of a sudden become we hate queers and trans kids to try and appeal to someone, that's not going to work. People see that for what it is. And when it comes to raising money, or with the Florida Dems, back in 2019, in 2020, back before Joe Biden got everyone to dislike the Democratic Party, and people were really jazzed up, every time we sent an email, we'd raise thousands upon thousands of dollars. The Florida Dems, I think we raised $500,000 just on our email list that year. A friend of mine, he worked for the D-Trip back then. His first email when he worked there, because they send out, his job was to send emails. His first email brought in more money for the D-Trip than they pay him in a year.
Money is there.
Yeah. But if you give voters a reason to like you as a party, and right now the Democratic leadership, the soon-to-be retired leadership, thank God, has not been giving voters a reason to give them money. That's what's wrong.
And that's the other thing that concerns me when he said localized the economics and also data centers and also all that stuff. But then it comes down to social issue. Are we going to try to squeeze a Democrat into a red state seat? Is it worth it if they have to pledge, let's say, that, to exclude trans kids from sports or, ban books from libraries? Are we, then we are not becoming a coalition. We're just becoming the opposition.
And we get ourselves into those problems where we'll have a majority, but we can't pass anything. And that just drives voters crazy when it's we're always one vote short. Remember with Obama, we were always one vote short when he had 60 senators. And then Joe Biden was magically always one vote short. Voters are so upset with that stuff. We can't do it again.
No, absolutely. And that's why I was saying, come up with a plan, make it cohesive, don't wish-wash, and then look for the money, because the money will come. Well, there is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by sharing them and subscribing to Queer News Tonight.